So this is what you want to think about when you're problem solving in Jiu-Jitsu a lot is really, are you actually using Jiu-Jitsu and the principles and the philosophy of Jiu-Jitsu to solve your problems? A lot of the time, like, techniques can be used. There's lots of techniques to sort out any problem. What I generally try and encourage people to do is to look at the general principles of Jiu-Jitsu and look if you are trying to problem solve them in that way, okay, if you are using those principles, as opposed to what I think people do now is they go on YouTube to look for a very specific technique due to a grip which they're looking for. Okay, so I can't watch instructionals if all with daylights at me. Okay, so I generally try and go through the principles that my coach taught me and his coach taught him, and I try and use those to problem solve these things. Okay, if I'm watching someone do Jiu-Jitsu and they're not getting the techniques right, or they're failing, if you like, they're losing rounds, but I can see that they're problem solving in the right way, like they're actually trying to use Jiu-Jitsu, I'm usually much happier than that than if they get say a technique which is half working and they put a lot of force through it to try and make it work. Yeah, like, I'm much happier when I try and use this. So there's a few things here which I think are worth bearing in mind, that the principles which you'll use this a lot, like lightening the leg. Okay, this should be used everywhere in Jiu-Jitsu, and when you actually use in hip movement to be able to do this. Something that Hickson didn't say this to me, but I've seen him say it, okay, in interviews, is that your job in a fight is to transfer the comfort from the other person to yourself. Okay, so if you get into this position, and generally when I look around, whenever I ask anyone to do this drill first, it looks very uncomfortable for the person on top. You're in a position which you don't really want to be in. You usually fight like man to avoid being in Jiu-Jitsu, and you're stretched out, you're immediately under attack, and it doesn't happen too much in the club because we start on the ground usually for safety. But when you go to a competition, there is a lot of this. Okay, you start stood up, and then as you go down to the ground, they've usually stretched you on the way. So you start with grips on the upper body. As they pull guard, they put a foot on the hip, and you're immediately stretched out, and you have to solve that problem. And generally what I find is that the guard pass will happen in the first 3 seconds of a match, or isn't going to happen at all. So either they mess up that part and you're not stretched and they pass, or you end up in this massive battle to try and solve those grips. What I want to do is everything should be comfortable for me. So, okay, he stretched me, he's done good work, I've got into this position however it was, but now I want to transfer that comfort from him to me. Okay, so instead of being, okay, I'm going to try and fight like mad to try and pull you back with a deadlift, what I'm going to do is, okay, you want a deadlift? Just hang my body weight off them. Okay, I'm going to use some Jiu-Jitsu, I'm going to lighten my leg, and then you carry my body weight, and then at the right time, so when I get a time in, then I start to go back to the top. Does that make sense for everyone? Okay, so just a few things to bear in mind there. When you're trying to solve a problem, try and use hip mobility, hip movement, and try and use that light in the leg whenever you can. Okay. Generally, the only time we often talk about this when I'm teaching is actually when I'm doing the arm bar for a mount. Okay, can I use you for a second, Killy? So we talk a lot when we're in a mount here and the arms are up. How do I get to the arm bar? Okay, trying to, when you get a beginner, they're like this, right? What the advanced player does, they start to make some angle if they've learned a bit, but then it's still kind of clunky. What your more advanced player does is they lean to one side so that leg's light, this goes round nice and smooth, this one's light, we transfer and then we get our arm bar. Okay? So similar principles of Jiu-Jitsu there. Okay. Now, who else has got a white gi? Long legs. Who's got long legs? Yeah. I'm gonna have to use Kevin, sorry. Okay. So we're gonna make this a similar principle, okay? So we've got a little bit of time left. We're going to use similar principles. We're going to start in a similarly stretched out position, okay, which is also horrible, okay, and he's going to, he'll heap up with the other X as well. There we go, this thing. Okay, everyone's seen this, experienced this in your Jiu-Jitsu career? It's absolutely horrible, right? And if I stay somewhere in the middle trying to push these down, as commonly happens, this is a lot of work, okay, and I already thought I was getting some momentum here. What I'm going to do is my hips, again, I'm going to fall to the side where it's comfortable, I'm going to end up in this S-sit here, okay? So now what happens is, as he's going down, he's trying to like sweep me here or do anything, okay, this should be a lot better for me, okay? This is illegal now?
No, IBJJF.
Ah, good, I'm good. Okay, so I'm just going to take a grip on this just to anchor myself on and just kind of make myself low. But what's happening is the most of the work is done with my legs. I put myself into this S shape here, okay? So what happens is here is that the place where I'm really out of balance, if you like, so when I get to here, is I want to watch over there. There's not a lot I can do about stepping over here for balance, so keep this nice and tight, okay? And especially when he's pulling me back, I can't get my base over here. So I just go to the area where it's going to be safe for me. Okay? So now I sit back into my S sit here, okay, and then I'm going to take a grip on the pants. Okay? What's very important is, remember I'm making this leg very heavy. Okay, so I'm sat back at the same angle on my other side though. Make that leg very heavy, and then I kick the legs out there. Okay, so this time I'm stretched. I'm going to lean myself into this position. Okay, so I get myself that same angle to go back to keep my knees safe. I'm just going to put this to the floor, and then this leg is the very heavy one. Okay, so I make this one heavy, it's on his bottom leg. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to use that grip on the pant legs to anchor myself in, and then just fall right. So we get to here. This time the stretch is more with the legs. Here I go over to the side. Now I get this. My weight, you can feel it on this leg, right? All on that bottom leg. And then out nice and simple. Do you want to see one more time? Okay. So just pay attention for the bottom guys as well, because you'll need to do this bit. So Bill Heaver hook, one extra one. Stretchy, horrible position. Don't really want to be over here because you'll go to my back. Sit over this way. Okay? Make this leg heavy. So you can do it very slow. Make that leg very heavy. Then grab the pant legs and pull yourself in. Make sense? Go 2 for 2.